I'm going to tell you how crazy things are. So I just pulled this up on Google. Top 1% salary. It says to be in the top 1% of U.S. earners in 2025, you generally need over 700,000 to nearly 1.1 million annually, depending heavily on the state, with cost areas like Connecticut, Massachusetts, and California requiring the most, around a million. The national average is closer to 731,000, but varies. So they say maybe 731 to about $794,000. 5 years ago, it was about 500,000. 10 years ago, it was about 375,000.
Mm-hmm.
This is not that people are making more money and succeeding. It is that we are experiencing rapid inflation. I don't want to say hyperinflation because it's a literal term, but inflation is absolutely insane over the past 5 years that we are now looking at you. In order to be the top 1%, your salary must be doubled. They are not saying the 1% are doing better than ever. They're saying your money is worth nothing. Your buying power is gone.
Right. Well, that's where they're like 7% inflation, and everyone that makes $15 an hour is looking at the McChicken go from $1 to $4 in like 5 years, and they're saying, well, even if it's 7% on the whole, in the places where it matters to me, that's where my wallet's being hit, and people are feeling the pinch. And then you look at numbers like this, where it's skyrocketing. I mean, it's getting rough out there.
I think there have been a lot of predictions that we're going to face a major market crash next year. I don't know if you've heard anything like that, but
it looks mathematically like it's going to happen within the next 2 years.
Yeah, and they say that like every 8 to 10 years is a major crash. You can look at the market.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you sustain these housing prices. They're absolutely insane right now. And these salary numbers. It freaks me out when I come to somewhere like Vegas or go to these casinos, and I'm wondering how it is that people can spend the money they spend. We were actually at the MGM a couple weeks ago in Maryland, and I can't remember who I was hanging out with. It might have been Brandon, but I was looking around at all these people. I'm like, how can these people afford to gamble like this? They go to MGM, and they got these table games where it's like 3-card poker, for instance. For those that don't know, it's $50 to play for your ante. They'll give you 3 cards, then you got to pay $50 again to see the dealer's card, see if you win. Then they got bonus bets, which is they've got the pair bonus and the 6-card bonus, and that's $50 as well. So if you're playing a full hand of this, you're looking at about $250, $250. And I'm like, who is sitting at this table with 10 grand to play consistently this amount of money? How does it make sense? I think it was Brandon who pointed out that there's like 8% of the U.S. population are millionaires.
Yeah.
So
1 in 10 or something like that.
One in 10, and then I realized it's not that they're millionaires. It's that they're just middle class.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be that middle class people had disposable income and would go to casinos and play games and be like, well, now the wealthy are being called wealthy, but their buying power is like these people that we are looking at. They might make like $300K a year. So they're pulling in, 20, maybe like 17, 18 after taxes or whatever every month. And they only need about 10, so they have a couple grand. And then they go to the casino once every few months maybe, and they play a grand or two or something like that because they have disposable income. Now, like we look at these people and we look at them as wealthy. Basically what I'm saying is it is skewing so dramatically from poor to rich. The divide is getting so massive that what was once the middle class now looks to be the wealthy elites.
Yeah. I just saw something today that said that Elon Musk is the first person ever to be worth $600 billion. And it's a big number, but he's worth that much money, not just because he's got valuable companies, but because the dollar has been, losing value for so long.
Andrew Tate has actually a pretty good video on this where he explains wealth. And he said, if you know how much money you have, you're poor. He said, rich people don't know how much money they have. He was like, he goes, for me, I've got $50 million in a stock account. I don't even know what it's worth. And if I can even take it out, it's just there. And I don't know what the number is. So it's like, I don't even know how much money I have. My investments are all over the place. My properties are various values. I don't even know. And he's like, so if you open your bank account and you know how much money you have, you're not rich.
Yeah.
And that's basically what he's describing. So when you mention, Elon Musk and $600 billion, there's a certain level where you stop thinking of money as money. Like I'm saying, like we as people should look at someone like Elon and say, he's not rich. He's just in charge.
Yeah.
He will never be poor. He will never lose his money. Nothing you can do about it so long as he's in the system. And what that really means is not that he is rich. It doesn't mean he can buy something. It means he can do whatever he wants.
Yep.
Yep.
Not only that, with his media reach, people will basically most people, even those who claim to hate him, I bet if he went to them and said, I have $1 million with your name on it, if you just stop saying that, they'd be like, done. Whatever you say, Elon. That's what it means to have that kind of money.
Well, that's what Trump said famously. He said it's not even about the money; it's about keeping score. So it's like it's true. I mean, you have these like Saudi princes where who knows how much money they have. Like they probably are just like, I'm about 3.5 Latvia's worth. Like it's insane the amount of wealth that they have. As far as your point with Zoomers, and casino, I think part of it is just because Zoomers are inherently really risk averse. For a variety of reasons. That's why you see
They aren't risk averse?
They are risk averse.
Zoomers are gambling like crazy, bro.
It's not like traditional gambling though. It's like it's a lot of like sports gambling and these sorts of things. But generally like temperamentally they're very risk averse. Like this is why the marriage rate's very low among other reasons. Is because it's a big lift to jump into something like that. There's benefits. The divorce rate's never been lower, which is an upside.
Haha.
No, it's true. Like literally, the divorce rate has never been lower in the United States because Zoomers are so hesitant to get married that when
Right.
they finally decide to get married, they're like,
There's no
"This is the
divorces.
one. This has to be the one."
Yeah, but dude, Zoomers are gambling like crazy. I don't. Maybe risk averse is the right way to describe it, but they're gambling like crazy.
As far as like in casinos,
They're all trying to be gambling influencers.
yeah, you have a segment, but I think like among the general Zoomer population, they're just you don't see them. And this is again, there's some benefits and there's also downsides. Is they're not their alcohol consumption is down dramatically, nicotine consumption, a variety of factors, which just indicates again it's good and bad. Like there was this bus, I think it was like in Arizona, where the police came and they shut down this party that had like 800 Zoomers there because they were all underage drinking, and everyone made the point like, we're not celebrating underage drinking, but you also arrested the only Zoomers in the state of Arizona that like have any propensity to take on risk.
Or to actually engage in social activities.
That as well. So it's like that's part of the reason Zoomers are so atomized is because of the risk aversion, because it's risky to go out in public. Like you could make a fool of yourself. Who knows? These things happen, but that's like part of life. And for a variety of reasons, I'll use the word. People point out I use this word too much, but it's because Zoomers didn't properly matriculate. It's obvious. I mean, my micro generation, which was like 99 to 04, became adults during COVID. They didn't properly pick up on social cues, conventional ways of socializing, these sorts of things. And as a result, you're just seeing people not really pushing for what they want in life because, again, they're just afraid of what if I fail.
So what does this country turn into then? I think this is a component of the hyperinflation. I think I'm willing to bet a lot of this is we don't have the tax income anymore. So the purpose of the income tax is not to fund services. It's to offset inflation. The U.S. government just prints money, takes on debt, and then taxes you to pay that down and pull money from the system. Basically, it's a circuitous way of saying, yeah, they're taking your money so they can fund programs, but they're buying in deficit. I think this inflation is very obvious. It's following the COVID lockdowns. They just pumped money in the system saying, if people have money, they'll buy stuff. Well, we know what happens with inflation. I think what we're looking at right now is without young people, without that tax base, the government is pumping money into a system that's not putting labor into the system. So we are seeing massive inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's gonna get bad.
It's going to be a very difficult election cycle, and probably for maybe even decades to come. Because I think you're right. At this point, no one coming out of college thinks there's any future for them. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I have a 17-year-old kid. I got one more year with him in the house. I've been really self-focused on my own career and what I'm doing. Now all of a sudden I'm thinking, what am I supposed to tell you to start focusing on? He wants to be a lawyer. Lawyers are gone. AI is going to wipe out, lawyers. It's also going to wipe out doctors. Like all the good jobs are going to disappear. And then, but are you really going to? I mean, honestly, you can talk about it. You can Mike Rowe. I just did his podcast recently. Great guy. But when you're sitting there, am I going to tell my 17-year-old kid to take on like a blue collar job, like go learn how to be a plumber or a carpenter? I mean, are we? It takes. I mean, you can say it. You know that there's a future there. You know, in some way, that's where this country's going. But I'm the first generation that's looking at a kid. Am I going to actually tell him that's what I want you to do? That's what I think you should do. Forget your brain. You're doing great. You got straight A's. It didn't mean anything because that's going to take you nowhere.
We had Gary the Numbers guy on the show. Was it like a week or two ago? And a week ago. And, I know a lot of people goofed on him because the numerology stuff they think it's silly. But he was right when he said, AI is coming. You got about 3 years to get your bag, and then you're out. And he's like, the rich are going to live in gated communities where they own and control things, and the poor will never have a means of doing anything. And it's not just about AI; it's about population collapse. You need new low-skill labor coming in, and we don't have it. The Democrat solution was just open the borders. The Republican solution is not talk about it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see these moments of it's actually kind of interesting. You'll see throughout history these moments of intense innovation when people can sense that a great filter is sort of coming down. Like a good example is like apartheid South Africa in the 80s. You actually saw a lot of like technological development because people feared that when the regime was turned over, it was changed, that there would be this rift where the middle class would eviscerate and people would either retreat into gated communities or they would be in these kind of these slums or have to leave the country. And this happens like throughout history. And I think in the United States, you're seeing this great filter being set up where we're going to be atomized, upper class, and then the lower class. There won't really be a middle class. And that's causing people to, that's why you're seeing so many of these get rich schemes. That's why you're seeing people scamming each other, because I think a lot of people that are paying attention are very keenly aware that the hammer is coming down. Again, if the Trump administration is successful, then we won't have to deal with this. But I don't know. I think people are fully aware of what's coming.
I don't think there's a way. There's no solution to this problem. There is only preparing for what's going to come, and then preparing how we resolve the next 20 years.
Well, I think there are solutions, though. I think there are economic solutions.
Don't say graphene.
What's that?
Don't say graphene.
Material science.
All right, let's start with this. There is a massive.
I mean, if you cut me off, you'll never hear the solution. It's up to
Right.
you.
So we're going to start with the premise of the conversation because I'm trying to make sure you don't derail. That's the point.
I'm trying to solve the problem.
So the problem right now is a massive lack of entry-level trainees and labor. What is your proposed solution?
Import them.
So the Democrat solution.
I'm open to that. I'm open to a version of that. Yeah.
Right. So
Import
that
menial labor if you need it.
That was stated.
Have more babies.
Right. That having more babies won't actually solve the problem because it takes 18 years.
Import the labor. If you drastically need human labor, you import the labor. They used to attack countries and conquer them and take them because they're coming here free will.
They took them as slaves,
but
bro.
it's also
That's not the option.
Ian. Let's
Really?
well, let's grant the argument even that like there's no downsides to immigration, like it's literally just free labor
Or slavery.
Sure. Let's grant that. Let's say there's no like societal implications or even other like external economic factors. The birth rate across the developing world is dropping precipitously as well. Like Mali was at like 9 kids like 5 years ago. Now they're at like 5. India's gone sub-replacement. So it's like at a certain point we're gonna have to look to technology to backfill labor, because you can't even if again you were to just grant every neoliberal argument about immigration, you're going to run out of people in the next 50 to 100 years to bring in anyway, just speaking like math wise.
There's a what was the documentary called we talked about on the show? It's called like The Birth Gap or something like that. There is no civilization in the history of this planet that has recovered from a birth rate at this level.
Yeah.
The reason is once it goes underneath replacement, you cannot produce enough to get out of that hole. So the civilization collapses, and then people scatter, and then slowly make a different a different society or different civilization out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we all plug our brains in and eat the bugs and live in the pods.
Well, I'm not as black-pilled as some other people are about robotics and about basically AI and stuff like that. I do think that there's going to be a lot of jobs that essentially robots are going to do, and I'm talking about humanoid robots because we live in a humanoid-shaped world, right? Like a man-shaped world. It's the world that we've designed. So the idea that, right now your car can drive you places. They're doing the Tesla taxis and they're doing the Waymos and stuff. And of course they're imperfect, but that technology is going to improve. But when you have the ability to have a robot that costs you $30,000, $25,000, $30,000 or whatever, that can be trained to do something that a human can do now, you're going to see a lot of companies that are going to say, I can buy this robot for $30,000, even if it's $50,000, right? You're buying that robot for $50,000. That's less than you're going to have to pay a human being to do it for a year, right? So you make your money back in 1 year. You're not going to have to pay health insurance for the robot. Obviously, there might be repairs and stuff like that, but you can have robots do a lot of the jobs. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're just asking for Skynet and et cetera. I don't think that that's the future that we're in for, but I do think that robotics will be able to do a lot of the things that humans do now. And this is basically like, whether you like him or not, this is basically the argument that Musk makes. He's like, look, in the future, there's going to be some displacement and there's going to be growing pains to get to this point. But in the future, you're going to have robots doing things that human beings do now. And there's going to be a lot more free time for humans. And I understand that there's the possibility of a crisis of meaning. What are people going to do? Because a lot of people
Who's going to keep them alive? Like, this argument blows my mind.
I
Like,
do
we're all
think
going to
that-
sit around in lawn chairs,
well-
smoking weed and video games, and then the elite 1% are going to get together once in a while and say, I want to vote a raise to all the people that aren't working. Because I've seen that happen throughout society, for centuries. There's no way. It's going to be a planet of useless eaters, and that's how they're going to be seen.
I don't imagine
And
that.
AI will be a part of the conversation of how quickly can we get rid of them because they're just draining on the system.
Like I don't imagine. Well, first of all, I don't think that I don't think that the Earth can't support the number of people that we have. And if we're talking about a birth crisis, right? We're not having enough kids, and that's global. Then the problem of supporting human beings isn't actually a problem of tapping the resources, or stressing the resources that the Earth has. There will actually be fewer human beings because we have had fewer children. And again, I'm not saying that it's going to be without its growing pains or whatever, but I do think that a lot of the problems that we're seeing now, or that we're concerned with, can be filled by robots.
Well, yeah, the whole birth rate conversation has to be reframed because it's mostly focused around economics, and like I do agree that to a certain extent, like people aren't having kids because of housing prices, etc. But there's countries like Hungary, Japan, South Korea who have incentivized people to have children with economic incentives. Like Hungary, they'll buy you a minivan, they'll give you tax breaks, these sorts of things, and it hasn't really moved the needle on the birth rate in any meaningful way. So you really have to address a crisis of meaning. That's not to say that economics don't have an impact. Like one of my favorite stats is that South Korea has a birth rate, I think like 1.2 around there. And in Seoul, it's like 0.6. I mean, it's devastating. And North Korea has a birth rate of 3.2. So it's like, wow. You also can't evaluate economics like entirely because if you were to contrast and compare those two systems just from like the position of birth rates, you would conclude that the North Korean system is a better system. It's obviously not true. But at the same time, like you do have to sort of address the deeper problems that cause the birth rates to go negative. Like the most common stat, obviously, is that when women are educated at a certain level, the birth rate drops precipitously because they are able to enter the workforce. They are able to provide an income for themselves. So they lose the need for a male to be like a provider.
Yeah, but I think you even got to look at teen pregnancy. I mean, sexuality's down, right? We have an asexual society. We're on the verge. I mean, you talk to pediatricians, there's kids that are coming in that aren't choosing any side. They're just completely asexual. So, I mean, this thing it's chemical, it's physical. It's like it's not just housing prices and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids aren't even deciding to drive a car. I mean, I can't believe it. I have friends who's, teenagers like 18 still don't have a driver's license. Everyone in my generation, as soon as you could drive, you were the hell out of
right
there,
away,
like
right
never
away.
to be seen again.
Yeah.
And instead, they're living at home. They're not going anywhere. They're watching. I guess they're playing video games and stuck on X and YouTube and not living a life. Like they're not alive.
I looked up the top 1% over the past 15 years. In 2010, $221,000 a year or higher puts you in the top 1%.
That's hard for me to believe.
That's kind of crazy.
1%.
But by 2012, it was 434. These are the
By 2012.
By 2012.
Is that
So
global?
this is coming off
US.
of the 221,000 is probably because of the financial crisis.
Yeah.
Everybody lost their jobs, salaries plummeted, but it remained somewhat stable, about 500,000 for several years. 2021 after COVID, it went to 682. 2022 dropped down to 561. 2023 went to 794, dropped down to 660. 2025 was 731. But I asked Google AI why, Gemini, and it also mentions executive pay. And I think this is another big component of why we are seeing salaries go up. It's not just that there is inflation. Look at gold price and silver. That's true. I think we're looking at a lack of capability. So you mentioned these young people are sitting around playing video games, not doing anything. Yep. They're not getting skills, and they're not figuring out how to make money or do anything meaningful.
And there's no job to even learn how to pour a Starbucks because grandma's in there because her retirement's not coming through for whatever reason. Everywhere you go, all the jobs that used to be the job I got at McDonald's at 15 years old or 16 when you could finally get your first job, it's all like elderly people that are taking those jobs because they're great workers. They know how to do it. They're going to show up. They're not difficult to work with. And so you got no entry point for these. I mean, I know I sound like a dad, totally a dad right now. Like I'm stressed. I got a teenager. I'm like, what the hell are you going to do? This world is totally jacked.
Well, and
you know.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.